All right, it's good morning, everyone. 45 minutes after 9 o'clock on this, what is today? Wednesday, right? Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the beautiful weather as of late. More of that to enjoy today and some of tomorrow and Friday as well. But I tell you what, a lot to cover here today when it comes to not only the setup that will take place as we end this weekend, but also as we get into the longer term. In fact, yes, today I will give you an update on at least how April is trending and an update on any snow chances. So this is going to be a fast moving blog today. As always, I have a limited amount of time, but I've got a lot to show you. So if you're looking for a lot of maps to look at today, you're in luck. You're going to see a lot today. I just ask, of course, your patience because I'm going to skim through this. And if I go too fast or something doesn't make sense, let me know, or you can't see it very well, let me know too. I always try to adjust that, but sometimes it's not easy to do that. All right. So, as always, hold off for your questions if you can toward the very end, because more than likely I will cover what's on your mind. All right. So I'm going to stop jibber jabbering and let's get right into it because we need to cover how this is all going to play out in as much of a rapid fire pace here. Right. So let's start with the beautiful weather in the short term. Notice some of the contrails in the distance. Some high level cirrus will move in. This is over at Huber's Orchard and Winery. Another gorgeous setup today. We're already closing in on 60. Already at 60, by the way, for those of you watching down into Bardstown at the moment, and 61 as you head toward Marion County. So we're doing good. The record today is 78. That is reachable. This batch of clouds we have moving in, the high thin clouds, I think will be passing by this afternoon to where we'll get back to more of a blue sky. So we may be able to get to that 78. Yesterday was 79, by the way, one away from the record. I hate when we get that close. Might as well just cross over, right? Thursday is all about how any downpours will play out. I'll show you, but I agree right now that it's going to be hard to get to 83 for a record there tomorrow. The record on Friday, possible, especially with the strong wind flow and dry air initially. Yes, because we're going to start off very warm on Friday already out of the gate. So we don't have a whole lot of room to go to get to that level. So those are the records as they stand, at least potential to break them or match them in the next few days. If you look carefully, you can see those high-level clouds right there, mostly contrails that have drifted in from the west this morning. A wider view shows that it is still quiet across the eastern part of the country. The only thing that we're tracking is that bowling ball I showed you back into California. Well, it's rolling out today, heading eastbound into the southern part of the United States, while the northern part will hold on to a quiet setup for a bit longer. Into the bigger storm that everyone's talking about arrives for the weekend. So the bowling ball, as it rolls on out, the mini-me system, it does kick up a severe risk today across the Arklatex area of the country, east of Dallas. As we head into tomorrow, it fades, starts to weaken. The low itself will be positioned very close to the center portion of Mississippi, just north of Jackson. So it's the southeast corner that would have the severe potential. That makes sense. However, there is going to be a flow of moisture that will move right into Kentucky. And that ribbon of moisture right along the Ohio River on I-64 is still showing up. So I still think we could get some isolated showers or even a thunderstorm. Now, am I looking at severe? No. That's why we're not outlooked. But I think that there's at least a chance to get a few thunderstorms there. So we'll cover that with some maps here in just a second. And then we get to the big kahuna, if you will, the main system itself that rolls in as we head into Friday and Friday night, first initiating a squall line of supercells that will break out across areas of Missouri and Illinois, perhaps down into northern areas of Mississippi and Alabama. We'll see how far south it will develop. But the jet with this is absolutely racing because remember, again, this is a very strong low. And it's going to be occluding. So the front is going to be pretty much washing out as it heads east, but it's got such a push. It's like trying to, in school when you were in line, everyone had to line up and you had to hurry up and get somewhere, lunch. And there's always someone behind you pushing you along. We run into this at the state fair sometimes, trying to just get around. But it's the same idea. These thunderstorms will be developing, but there always will be something behind it pushing it along, trying to push it faster than it wants to go. That forward momentum could lead to straight line wind gust that could easily get over 70 miles per hour with that line as it races east. Now, eventually that wind field will relax. as we into the darkness of night, and we'll see those winds elevate a bit more off the ground and a little more above the tree line, then a little bit higher than that as we get into the overnight. The question is, how fast does that happen? Does it happen? Does that lift up basically like a garage door going up? Does that lift up before it gets to us? Or will it still be a very powerful wind event as it rolls in from the west and it can produce some wind damage? It's a good question. We need the high-res data to get that answer. We're not there yet. I know a lot of you have been asking, when will we be there? Tomorrow's data will be key. It'll start to fully show what's going on here. And I think we'll have a better idea if that's going to be the reality or not. And that will cause, I'm sure, some adjustments on some of these outlooks once we get that data that is missing now. But on paper, on what we've got on hand, there is certainly a weakening trend that shows up. So that's good, but it's an overnight event. If I had to put a time on it now, I'm sure I'm going to have to tell you a different time when we get the high-res data. But if I had to put a time now, I'm thinking this is a 2 to 6 a.m. type of thing. So very late Friday night. Very windy Friday evening in general, but the wave of thunderstorms. And there is a chance the precipitation part could dry up and we just get a wall of wind that approaches from the west. We've seen that before with fading squall lines of storms. All right, closer look at that shows it looks like, I always say the Neapolitan ice cream is what it looks like. It's stacked. We've seen this before several times, right? You can tell the categories go down, and they go down because of the weakening trend. So the category colors and arrangement also tell the story of how it's stronger west, fades out as it heads east. We've seen this many times, but just wanted to show you where we're at on the outlooks. But an enhanced outlook to the west is impressive, don't get me wrong, and something that I'm sure they're going to be nervously watching the next couple of days. Okay, so let's rewind just a bit, just for a moment. Here is the outlook again. In the short term, I mentioned today, beautiful weather. Tonight, a warmer night tonight. Tomorrow is where we get that mini-me that moves across Mississippi and Alabama. As it does so, this is where, and the red indicates storm fuel, and I turned it up to where you could really see it, and I'm sure you can from home. But it does show the fuel lines up right along the Ohio River and toward Lexington. And the flow is south to north because of the spin of the low down south. So if there's anything that can pop tomorrow afternoon, it would be drifting northbound. And I don't want to overplay this too much because I do think this is going to be more of a sprinkle, showery form, but there is still some support here to get one or two small thunderstorms that can pop in the area. So that's why I don't want to completely ignore this. And somebody picks up a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a little bit of small hail and like, where'd this come from? Well, it's just enough moisture where that's possible, but this is not a huge ordeal. It's more of an issue of messing up our record high potential than anything, I think. But we're going to be watching it. All right. And it drifts north, but it does, again, allow for a warmer start as we head into Friday. Now, we just start to see this particular model is a high-res model, but it's at the very end of its time frame. It just is able to see what is going on to the west, 2:30 in the morning, Friday night, Saturday morning. And notice, it doesn't have a lot, right? It dries up the southern part of the line. This is still a lot of wind. You can't see that here, but that is a lot of wind still being produced. They could still have warnings with it. But the precipitation part starts to dry back up. So that's interesting that it can see it and already is hinting at that. We'll see if the others, its friends, agree later on. Now, I was looking at the SIPS analogs, the AI, or not the SIPS, I'm sorry, the CSU model for tomorrow. And this is all divided up between tornado, hail. Oh, I got to change my pen again. Hold on. We always change our pens depending on who's working. And some people like it one color and some don't. But I'm used to that. All right, let's see. Hold on one second. Let's get it back to, what did we have yesterday? Purple? I'll do red today. We'll do red. How about red? Okay. I know someone wanted pink on there, but we'll do purple today. Okay, so again, sorry about that. Here's your tornado. Here is your hail and your damaging winds. Notice on the hail part, it added right there, right along the Ohio River for a low-end hail potential. That makes sense. I can buy that. Again, it would be just that, a low-end hail potential, but at least want to mention that that is certainly possible. All right, then we gear up for the other outlooks for Friday and Saturday. All right, let me load up that data. Give me about 30 seconds here, guys. I have it for you. Quick break, hang tight. All right, so what about what comes our way for the CSU data for Friday? Well, this is the tornado potential again in the plains, maxing out yesterday. I think it had St. Louis, close. Now it's a little more north of that as its main focal point. Your hail potential, not bad, not bad. Yeah, it does have us in the low wind category east, but you're going to have low wind categories for our area for all of these, and that's to be expected. And then your straight line wind damage threat. Notice that is the one that is more in our area for the next level, if you will, of impact. And that's because the wind is the biggest part of the system more than the hail and tornado threat will be. The straight line wind, again, as I said before, the push that this is going to have from the back is what's going to allow for such a long area bowing segments in this line. You can get spin up tornadoes in those little kinks anytime the line wiggles. You know how that works. But I do think it's going to have a lot of areas where you can get some of those really strong wind gusts. Right now, Illinois and west of 65, especially near the Wabash and Indianapolis, more at risk for that really strong push of wind to bow toward them than to aim toward us. It has like a, I wish I could draw it on here. I will on this map to give you an example, but it's basically like that. Whoop, that's weird. Like a bow and arrow kind of idea. It bows out this way and say Indianapolis is here and we are about here. So we will be on the southern side of that. You just got to watch when that line bows out too much from the parent low. Sometimes you can get those wiggles on the southern end or what we call a tail end Charlie that can spin. And that's how you get your isolated tornado threat. But overall, this is a straight line wind type of scenario. Again, this is CSU, and this is not the Storm Prediction Center. It's a CSU for Friday and Friday night. What about Saturday? Well, let me cut closer again. This is actually more impressive to me, is the second low that develops. And look at the values on this. Way higher than what Fridays are for the plains. In fact, this has a good chance to be a moderate. And if conditions are right, I would be surprised if this could even trend toward a high risk scenario for areas of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. The conditions, especially if the warm sector can develop, this could be a significant severe weather outbreak in that area of the country. For us, the low track will be passing through. Now, it's the eastern side of the low. As always, you got to watch. And it really just depends on the track of the low. And right now, they still have the hatched area, although they did move it more east compared to what we had yesterday, more for eastern Kentucky and eastern Tennessee. This is the Storm Prediction Center outlook right now as it stands. They've got what would likely be enhanced in that area that CSU has, so that kind of matches. And then it's got a general slight, it looks like, for our area. Okay, that's fair. It's probably going to be along and east of 65, had to guess, for a slight risk for an outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We'll know tomorrow because they'll officially issue that within range. But the CSU values being so spiked like that cannot be ignored. That is going to be a wild setup. And yeah, that could influence even the severe potential our way as far as blocking some of the stronger moisture fields from getting up here. So a lot of questions. The setup on Saturday is very weird and unique. And I was even looking at one of the more unique scenarios. This is the UK Met, which I don't get a lot of data on it, unfortunately. It actually develops a very strong low on Saturday into Sunday. This would mean certainly severe weather outbreak into Alabama and Georgia, but it also would really bring in the severe risk into eastern Kentucky and perhaps even our eastern counties. It would be a very impressive setup. And the reason why I'm showing this, and I don't talk about the UK Met model much, it's a global model, not a high res. But the UK Met has been consistent on this idea. So anytime I see a model that is hung up on its idea and its solution, I try not to ignore it because maybe it's trying to tell us something. So we'll just file this off to the side, but we'll be watching it. and see how that will play out. As far as the wind potential, just general wind, let's get away from the severe side for a second. This is one thing we'll be watching is when we get that wave that moves in at about between 2 and 6 a.m. Friday night. This is looking at your moisture, which is in the green, and then the red, which I'm drawing red, is temperature. Basically, we're down here. Airplanes fly way up here. That's the best way. You're looking at the atmosphere sideways. What I want you to get from this, because you're not going to be able to read all these numbers. I get that. I can barely read it here, and I'm in front of it. Look at all the pink dots. Those are all the very strong wind gusts that are roughly 60 to about 80, 85 miles per hour. Very, very strong winds. What I'm watching is to see how far down they dip in the atmosphere when we get the line that moves in. And some of these stronger wind gusts of maybe up to 50 knots, 50 to 55 miles per hour start to show up below 1,000 feet. So, yeah, if that can make it down to the ground when those showers move in, or even if they don't have rain, although rain would help push this down more if it dried up versus if it dried up. But you can really see the strong wind being pulled down. And that's what we're going to be watching, is for that window for those stronger gusts during the overnight hours of Friday night into Saturday. Here's what it looks like on the map form. Friday evening is going to be a windy evening. I think the wind advisory is a wind advisory period is likely to come out, and it will likely start earlier into Friday evening as the winds ramp up. But without any storms, right? These are just general winds. Now, this is more involved with the line. This is more enhanced wind because of the line moving in. So now you see values that get really high, especially as you get towards Seymour, you get closer to 50. Again, that's where I just showed you the tilt of the atmosphere. That's what it looks like on the map form as it moves by. We get a small little break late morning Saturday lunchtime, and then the wind is going to ramp right back up again. And then the wind in general for Saturday evening is going to be wherever the low tracks in east. So our eastern sections. If the low tracks more west than expected, like the UK Met is hinting at, then those stronger winds you see there of up to 50 miles per hour will be a little more west as well to encompass more of the area. And obviously, to be devil's advocate, same could be said if it keeps trending east. We would be out of the danger of the strong wind flow, but still dealing with very heavy rain. Still, right now, the number one threat for Saturday and Saturday night is heavy rain versus the severe, and that's only because of the deep south may rob us from some of the energy that would require a bigger issue on severe locally, and the track of the low may work in our favor to cut down on the severe. So at the moment, heavier rain leads the way, and we'll just see how that plays out. So this is a 1-2 punch. There's a lot of moving parts here, guys. We got the Friday night wind and line that moves in, and then we get the second piece Saturday night into Sunday. All right, we'll hold on to that wind there, and then we get another just general cold wind as we head into Sunday night itself. Let's talk about rainfall for a moment. As I mentioned, that is one of the issues this will be for the system on Saturday night and Sunday. This is a grand total of rainfall. This is the Euro. Euro is a little more west with a low, not as intense with thunderstorms, but it gives a little more of a broader area of 1 to 3 inches that takes place. The GFS model is a little more focused with the track of the low period. So the track in east, a potential up to 4 inches of rain in spots that flood easily, especially those of you down in the Green River Valley area. And then we get into the Canadian high res, also indicating the higher, mainly east, but still some impressive totals of 1 to maybe 3 for the rest of the area. Is this enough to cause a lot of river flooding? If we cross over 3 inches, we will run into problems with river flooding, yes. So be aware of that, creeks and streams. Otherwise, I think this is more of a flash flooding concern for travel. Hydroplaning issues Saturday night will be a problem. General visibility will be a problem. It's going to be very heavy rain in a short amount of time. But will it cause the Ohio to rise and we get back in that ballgame? And that right now looks to be unlikely. I think it's a short-term issue on the flooding, but still just be careful as you're venturing out. All right, any questions I can answer on this part before I get into the longer term, and then I have to wrap up here in just a second. Hello, Michael. How you doing? So we're looking at big-time severe threat here. Not at the moment. There is a severe threat, but I wouldn't say big-time, no. I think everything just where we're placed, we're in a good position to get a weaker version of Friday night, but still damaging potential. And then Saturday, if that low develops and steals all the thunderstorm, or the thunderstorm steal all the energy a bit more on Saturday night. That will cut down our severe threat here locally. So there's some questions on that end. Katie, keep pushing east. We're all going to be pushing, all right, the east idea, right? Let's see. Hi, Ashley. Okay, wait, the tornado threat and the line is not supercells. They will start as supercells in Missouri, but they should become more of a line, Ashley. There is a potential for a tornado warning out of that line. I know it's what you're basically alluding to. That is possible, but this straight line threat is higher than that. So I hope that it's not perfect. I know I'm putting you at ease, but that's where they stand on a scale. One is higher than the other. So again, tornado chance is there, but it's not very high. Its straight line wind threat absolutely is higher. All right, I got to get to the long term real quick. Here we go with a cool weather pattern for Sunday into Monday, St. Patrick's Day. Chilly air. In fact, breezy outside. Boy, it's going to be a slap in the face after touching your 80, maybe hitting 80 on Friday. And you got to deal with winter coats again, especially in the morning hours for early next week. We warm up. Our next wave is showing up next Thursday, maybe Friday. This one, though, does not look overly impressive right now. It looks like it would produce a lot of thunderstorm action, and it could produce a few, but until we get a better moisture surge out of this, I'm a little hesitant to say this is going to be a bigger concern. For right now, this looks like it'll be a wall of showers, maybe a bit of thunder, but I'm not overly worried on severe right now for the one next week. Thank goodness. But the thing you'll notice is that we're going to get a little more of the northwest flow kicking in as we evolve in time. In fact, the snow potential for all the way past thunder over Louisville is showing up. Now, you got to look where the lines start, not where the lines are in general. And you notice there is a signal right after that system next week I showed you. It's just beyond the 10-day, beyond the range I can show you right now. There is a signal showing up that may be able to produce some wet snow. It could easily be a dusting, which they're gray lines, so it's more than likely going to be that. But there are a few that do start in early April and even a couple in mid-April. But after that, I do not see any of them showing up, starting up again. So at the moment, I think the way this is trending, we have a snow chance more than likely at the end of March coming up here. Maybe in the first 10 days, we may have a snow potential that I'm not going to rule out. And then after that, spring has sprung. And I think we're locked in for the season, and StormTALK will come to an end. The latest Euro long-term this is April, for temperatures running below normal. This doesn't mean it's going to be in the 30s. It just means below normal, which at this point will be approaching the 60s. So below normal will likely be probably 40s, but cold enough that we can get some wintry weather involved, but high impact wintry weather a bit unlikely. Okay, so there's where we stand on, that's a lot of data today. I told you guys it was going to be a lot. As we evolve down the road, let me show you the 10-day real quick. And notice we've got the 79-degree temperature as we move into today. Again, potential for that record to break. And then tomorrow into the 70s with that chance for a few rumbles of thunder. And then as we into Friday, really warm on Friday. The daytime period on Friday looks good. But as we head into Friday night, part one moves in with the rain and wind setup. And then we got to watch Saturday afternoon for some thunderstorm potential. Otherwise, heavy rain and flash flooding Saturday night will be an issue. It will be windy nearly the entire time, though, from Friday afternoon all the way into Sunday. This is a big system that it's going to be windy pretty much at a constant period. So we may have wind advisories that are pretty lengthy there. All right, everyone good? Type 1 if you're good. Type 1 if you're good. I know I can't get more specific than that. I know we got the Racing Louisville game, home opener on Saturday. It's going to be tough, guys. That second surge of rain is scheduled to arrive roughly between 4 and 6 p.m. As it stands right now on Saturday. I hope that changes, and it could. But at the moment, yes, the game is at risk for heavy rain and some thunderstorms. Okay, you guys are good. I appreciate you all. I got to run. Stay tuned, as best I could say, and we'll just keep you updated on our live updates here and obviously on our newscast, which, by the way, I will have one for you guys coming up at 11 a.m. I'll see you then.